Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news, giving you all the latest United transfer news with that real fan opinion, sponsored by the Unibet vlog. The link is in the video description. Really good articles on there, breaking news, good writers about Manchester United, so make sure you give it a click. But also, give it a click today because there is a very good article about the Manchester United number 9 position and who will be the number 9 this season. The person who's going to score the goals ahead of that, what we hope is going to be a watertight defence. But if you don't score goals, you won't win games. Give it a click and give it a hit and have a read of that. But look, I went into this transfer. A lot of people have asked me, after we signed Wan-Bissaka, will we sign anybody else? And I said we'll sign at least 2. We've signed Harry Maguire, and as per the video last night, highly unlikely to sign anybody else. I can believe it because logically, when you look at the last few transfer windows, this is what happens. We keep going. There's 3 weeks left. There's 2 weeks left. There's 1 week left. There's 4 days left. There's 3 days left. There's 2 days left. There's 1 day left. There's 1 hour left. There's no minutes left. And we don't sign the player. But I have to believe. There is definitely still time, and I have to believe that we will do something. But when I look at the 3 players I'm going to talk about, and there's more than 3 to be fair, and I see Neymar on the left, that really does make me scared that we're not going to do any more business. When Neymar's being thrown up, you know you're in trouble. What's tomorrow? Ronaldo. I mean, the Neymar story is coming from Sport in Spain, that Neymar has been offered to a lot of clubs. And remember the golden cage we spoke about a couple of months ago, where there are players like Neymar and Paul Pogba who clearly want to leave their clubs, but they are so expensive because their previous move was so expensive that clubs can't really afford them, even though they want to leave. And I think this is the big thing, isn't it? The inflated transfer market has actually backfired on these players who've had massive multi-million-pound moves, that then they, when they want to move, no one else can afford them. So maybe Neymar has been offered to Manchester United, but at £200 million, we're just going nowhere near that deal. So I think we can remove that one. Also, there's a story from AS about Manchester United still being in for Umtiti, and they even mentioned the fact that we've signed Harry Maguire, but we still want Umtiti. AS, BS more like. I mean, come on, we're not going to sign another centre-back, are we? We've got about 50 as it is, and Harry Maguire is the significant centre-back that we needed to sign, so Umtiti won't happen. But then AS are going to talk about Christian Eriksen here, because some United fans seem to have moved off Bruno Fernandes, and there is a developing story around Bruno Fernandes from a very credible person, which I'll talk about in a moment. But with people seem to moved off the Bruno Fernandes story. Now maybe we can get Christian Eriksen, and I think this is what happens: the desperation, the lashing around to try and think something's going to happen in the last few, swigs of the transfer window, so to speak. I mean, Christian Eriksen to Manchester United. I think Eriksen's another player that's openly said that he wants to leave Spurs for a new challenge. Maybe Spurs are going to get Lo Celso and Bruno Fernandes to add to Dembele. Significant midfield improvement when ours has been decimated. But Eriksen would be very welcome at Manchester United. He's only 27 and a half. He's Premier League proven. He would be a welcome addition to our midfield. A Sony Eriksen would be welcome to our midfield. At least you can call it up, and But the thing with Eriksen is that stands out to me is one. I read it from AS, who were talking about Umtiti, so that just shows you what BS it probably is. There were other outlets talking about Eriksen, and maybe he will leave Spurs, but why would he come to Manchester United? I've said this before. Surely he'd only be coming for the money. And secondly, has anybody ever experienced doing business with Daniel Levy from Spurs? Whether he's selling players to Real Madrid or he's selling players to Manchester United, like Carrick, etc. If you look back, and Michael Carrick's autobiography is perfect, because he talks about going to Manchester United, having to ring Daniel Levy up and say, I want to go. And Daniel Levy actually said, look, whether you want to go or not, I don't care. It's about getting the right price for you. So you cannot do a deal with Christian Eriksen in 3 days. You just can't do it. And I love it if that ended up being a meme, but you cannot do that deal in 3 days, because it's a very highly technical deal to do, because he's only got 1 year left in his contract. So United would say, well, he's only got, if he's got 4 years on his contract, maybe he's a £100 million player. He's got 1 year left on his contract. In a year he goes for nothing, so we'll offer you 50. And Spurs go, shut up, we want 70. And so 3 days when we normally take a month to 5 weeks to do a deal. It just won't happen with Eriksen. I just don't think it's a starter, and I think it reminds me a lot of a deal that people are trying to hope is going to happen in the last few days because they're terrified of the fact that we're going to do nothing. Bruno Fernandes, right. So there was a few things about Bruno Fernandes yesterday. There was a few things about Bruno Fernandes the day before. Simon Stone, Tier 1 journalist, very credible, very reliable, very close to Manchester United. He was saying that United are not in for Bruno Fernandes. Simon Peach, Press Association, Tier 1 journalist, very close to Manchester United. He has said nothing positive around Bruno Fernandes at the moment. United look like they're looking at other targets. Well, that's more positive than what James Cooper had said about signings being unlikely. But Bruno Fernandes, it's not looking good, is it? It's not looking good. And again, I'm just really, really surprised. I mean, we had Simon Peach on the United stand about 5 weeks ago when we were in Perth, and he said I'd be 50-50 about Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United. He's certainly a player that they like, but you just never know with United what they're going to do. And obviously now he's feeling that they're probably not going to do that. What he did say is, though, now is the time where it's very difficult to start giving information out because things can change very quickly. Look, I will go down with the Bruno Fernandes ship. I have to. I can't move away from the fact that he was a target for United. He is the number one target that we should be going for, and there is time for them to do that deal. But I feel that the player that they're probably going to sign, if they're going to do anything, will be Sean Longstaff. I just think Brexit FC, as I said last night, we seem to be obsessed with British players who see United as a step up. And I think that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I don't think it ever should have been the 100% thing. It never should have been that. We should have had a mixture of talent coming through, quite simply because, as I said last night, when you look at United's best performing players over the last 6 years, they haven't really been English players. Lindelof and Shaw last year, okay, English for sure. De Gea pretty much every single year. Pogba's been good at times. Zlatan's been good at times. But the English players haven't stepped up to the players or stepped up to the plate, or the British players. So this obsession with British players, I think it's wrong. I think it's cheap. And I know it's not been cheap with Maguire and Wan-Bissaka, but I think Longstaff is a cheap way of bringing a midfielder in when realistically they should have gone a little bit higher than that. So look, another day passes, we move into another day. As I said last night, I do feel that Dybala could well be a deal for Manchester United to do. I don't personally feel it's dead. I mean, it may be dead as you're watching this now, but I don't necessarily think it is. I think Lukaku will leave Manchester United. As I said on the Harry Maguire video yesterday, we shouldn't get too focused on the Lukaku deal because he can be sold after Thursday because the Italian transfer window hasn't closed. The only relevance to Lukaku deal before Thursday is if we were going to do a swap deal for a player, we would have to do that before Thursday. But if we don't do it, we can still sell Lukaku. And I really do believe that we will end up selling Lukaku because I think that is what Manchester United are looking to do. My fear is that the De Gea contract is going to be announced and may well have been announced already, depending on when you're watching this, in these last few days of the transfer window. And if that happens, that is a big thumbs up that we are not signing any other players because we've done it already. We've done the Rashford deal, we've done a couple of other deals. The De Gea deal does not need to be announced in the last few days of the transfer window, and if it is, they're just covering their arse. They're covering the cracks. And as I said so many times, this transfer window will be there to be judged on Friday, really, August the 9th. I know it closes on August the 8th, but it's August the 9th when you really sort of take assessment of it because we've got the game on the Sunday. There is still time for Manchester United to do something, and maybe their stance this morning or last night is we're not signing anybody else, but that could change today or tomorrow or on Thursday, and I urge the club to do it because I really don't think... I don't think fan opinion is respected by the club. I think lip service is paid to it. I don't think they respect it. I think they know best, and they should know best. They definitely should know best, but I think they think they know best, and I think they think we're fine with what we've got. I've watched football for over 30 years. Many of you will have watched it for longer or less. It doesn't matter. You watch Manchester United every single minute, and you learn about this team over the last few years, and it's not good enough. It needed quality adding to it. The defence looks very, very good now. The midfield looks very, very weak. Paul Pogba gets injured, that midfield will get played off the park by Norwich. It is not a very good midfield. It is not a very good midfield. And if they think they can go into a Premier League season and a Europa League season with that midfield and be successful, they are very, very much mistaken. We will drop a lot of points and we will be fighting for maybe fourth, but it's not going to be a very comfortable season. They have got an opportunity there in their hands to go and buy a midfielder. And The thing is about that midfielder is they will make more money than that midfielder costs. It will make them more money. And I think also the retention of the deadwood is a problem. You know, keep giving Mata a 3-year contract when he's finished. What was that all about? There's other players as well. There was interest from Italy for Matic, and we've retained the player. There's players in that squad who are going to play 30 first team games at least, and they're not good enough. And United, to me, seem to have gone halfway up the road. We're going to have a rebuild. We're going to spend a load of money. And they seem to have gone halfway along that path. Like, oh yeah, we have spent a bit of money and we are having a rebuild, but we're turning back now. And we're halfway there. And I totally agree that, you know, it was going to take a number of transfer windows to sort Manchester United out. But you lose a player like Ander Herrera. You have to replace a player like Ander Herrera. You can't just say, we've got McTominay, Fred and Pereira and Matic and Pogba. It's not good enough. It wasn't good enough last year and we had Herrera. It's not going to be good enough this year because teams will just go swamp pull Pogba, let Pereira and McTominay and Fred and Matic have the ball, because unless they go up 3 gears, which hopefully one of them will, they're nowhere near a top 4 midfielder at the moment. So United need to do some business. I'm still hopeful, as I said. I always had a feeling that the Dybala deal had been shut down on purpose so that when it goes ahead on Wednesday, we're like, well, at least we did Dybala. For me, my eyes, and I don't know about yours, get in the comments, my eyes are focused on the midfield. Dybala would be a nice signing. Maguire and Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James have been very good signings. But if you haven't got a midfield, you haven't got a midfield. And that was the area I cannot believe that we've not bought one. It was if you'd have asked me what position do you think we would definitely buy a player for, midfield would have been 100%. And it always seems to be like that every summer with United. There's a position that you go, we've got to get a position, we've got to instruct. And this happened with Sir Alex Ferguson about 10 years ago. We needed a midfielder every single year and we never got one. Unfortunately, we had the greatest manager in the world who still had some very good players around him. And he could have won a title with bloody Stoke. He was that good. But we were always like, where's this midfielder that's going to complete us? And we never got it. And I think United are still doing that with the same owners, but we haven't got the great manager in the world and the great players around there to compensate. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. How are you feeling about this transfer window as we focus on what nearly 48 hours? It'll be 48 hours at 5 o'clock today that we've got left to do some business. Will we do any more business? Get your comments in below. How are you feeling about the transfer window? And make sure as well, that number 9 position, Lukaku's history. Who's going to wear the number 9 shirt? Very good article. Link in the video description. Go and give it a read. We will be back with Flex and Rants at lunchtime. They'll be talking about transfers and the season ahead. Really looking forward to that. And of course, any breaking news will be live and 8 o'clock tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like. Subscribe if you're new. Get your notifications on. Give that article a read in the video description. Because like I say, the defence looks good. But if you draw every game, you get 38 points. Some teams get relegated with that. We got to score goals. Where are the goals going to come from? Who's the number 9 going to be? Find out in the video description. Thanks for watching.